This conference will now be recorded.
I'm calling the regular council meeting of Monday, June 16th, 2025 to order.
Councilmember Courier.
Here.
Councilmember Hollingshead. Here. Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Here. Thank you, Anna. Please rise for the pledge.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Second.
Councilman Courier made the motion to accept the agenda as printed. Dan seconded. Any discussion? Okay, Anna.
Councilmember Courier.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingshead. Aye. Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Approval of the minutes of regular session, June 2nd, 2025. Any additions, modifications? No, seeing none, they will stand as printed. We're down to public comment. Citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items shall be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during a council meeting that citizens are allowed to address council. Please come to the podium and state your name and address, and online comments will be accepted after in-person comments are completed. All comments should be directed to the council and not to the audience. Anyone? No? Close public comment. We have no public hearing. We're down to consent agenda. A, bills to be allowed in the amount of $2,093,213.06 and authorize Mayor Johnson and Clerk Soik to sign the warrant. B, approve the cemetery deed number 0324 by and between the City of Alpena and Loren P. and Katherine R. Beard in the amount of $750 for Block 40, Lot 130, for the use and purpose of a burial lot with perpetual care, and authorize Mayor Johnson and Clerk Soik to sign said deed. C, approve a cemetery deed number 0325 by and between the City of Alpena and Monique Linseman in the amount of $1,500 for Block 40, Lot 74 and 75 for the use and purpose of a burial lot with perpetual care, and authorize Mayor Johnson and Clerk Soik to sign said deed. D, approval of the service agreement with the Huron Humane Society, Inc. for the period of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. E, approval of the service agreement with Target Alpena Development Corporation for the period of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. F, approval of the service agreement with Thunder Bay Arts Council, Inc. for the period July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. G, execute the City of Alpena Emerging Pollutant Source Investigation Sampling Grant Agreement with Eagle and authorize Manager Smolinski to sign. H, approval of the budget amendment to request an increase in the building maintenance expenditure account in the Building and Grounds Department of the General Fund in the amount of $10,000. I, approval of the budget amendment request to increase the vehicle lease rental expenditure account in the inspection department of the Building Inspection Fund in the amount of $3,244. J, approval of the budget amendment to increase the capital land improvement expenditure account in the Economic Development Department of the Downtown Development Authority Fund in the amount of $129,638. L, approval of the budget amendment to increase the facade grant design expenditure account in the Economic Development Department of the Downtown Authority Fund in the amount of $81,050. M, approval of the budget amendment request to increase the dues and subscription expenditure account in the Professional Membership Department of the General Fund in the amount of $2,750. Did I miss K? Oh, I'm sorry. Just go back to it, Anna. Yeah. Okay. K was approval of the budget amendment request to increase the community promotion expenditure in the Economic Development Department and Downtown Development Authority in the amount of $6,101. I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
So Mayor Pro Tem approved the consent agenda as accepted, and Bridget supported. Any discussion? Anna?
Councilmember Townsend.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Aye.
And Councilmember Courier. Okay.
We have no presentation, so we're down to announcements. The city is seeking an individual to fill a vacancy on the local officers' compensation committee for a 6-year term. So now I have 2 proclamations this evening, and we're going to start with the Blues Fest. So the Blues Fest is this week, June 15th to the 21st, 2025. So proclamation, whereas the Alpena Blues Coalition was started in November 2003 for the purpose of furthering blues music awareness and appreciation. And whereas the first Alpena Blues Festival was held in 2024 and subsequent successful festivals have been held each year since. And whereas the Blues Coalition provides a program called Blues in the Schools Music Outreach as a way of raising awareness and educating students in traditional American blues music. And whereas events sponsored in the past include Blues Band and the Friday Night Downtown Concert Series, blues performers at various venues around town, and fighting hunger in our community. And whereas over the years, successful fundraisers have been held to support and promote awareness of upcoming Alpena Blues festivals, this year's festival will be held on Saturday, June 21st, 2025 at Bayview Park Bandshell, and it's free to the community. Now, therefore, I, Cindy Johnson, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Alpena, do hereby proclaim the week of June 15th to 21st, 2025 as Alpena Blues Week in Alpena, and urge all area citizens to recognize and support the effort of the Alpena Blues Coalition 21st Anniversary Blues Festival. So, yes.
Mayor, may I make an amendment to your proclamation?
Yes.
I believe you said that the first festival was in 2024. It was actually.
Oh, did I say 2024? You are correct. It is 2004.
Okay.
If I said that, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Do we want to take a picture?
Sure, that'd be great.
If you'd like to say anything, you can. We'll all come up here.
Yeah.
The whole crew is here. Well, almost.
And I do mean carrots.
Sure. Thank you. Yep. I don't think the tall guy. Come on over. Okay, here we go.
So we'll.
There you go.
All right. Cindy, you can stand up. Yeah, I can still stand. Yeah. All right, everyone, ready?
Everybody say blues.
Okay, I got a couple of them.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't talking about Ted.
I know.
Okay, all right.
Hey, doing? Yeah.
You there?
I'm just gonna,
Oh.
Thank you.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty.
He's in firm.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you. Yeah. I'll try. If I can get away from ROP. There's a lot going on around town this weekend. Oh, I know, definitely it is. Here. No kidding. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Like this around here.
About a minute in here.
There were people who were gonna.
And I can't hold water that.
We have a mayoral proclamation for Amateur Radio Week, which is the week of June 23rd. And are you here for that? Okay, super. Whereas amateur radio operators are celebrating over a century of the miracle of human voice broadcast over the airwaves, and whereas, I need a drink of water. Sorry. Whereas amateur radio has continued to provide a bridge between people, societies, and countries by creating friendships and the sharing of ideas. And whereas amateur radio operators have also provided countless hours of community service, both at a moment's notice in emergency and to other local organizations throughout these decades. And whereas these amateur radio services are provided wholly uncompensated, and whereas the state also recognizes the service amateur radio's people also provide to our many emergency response organizations, including the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, Search and Rescue, and others. And whereas these same individuals have further demonstrated their value in public assistance by providing free radio communications for local parades, runs, walkathons, festivals, fairs, and other charitable public events. And whereas the city of Alpena recognizes and appreciates the diligence of these hams who also serve as weather spotters in the Skywarn program of the U.S. Government Weather Bureau. And whereas the American Radio Relay League, ARRL, is the leading organization for amateur radio in the U.S. And whereas ARRL, Amateur Radio Field Day, yearly exercise will take place Saturday, June 28th through Sunday, June 29th, 2025, being a 24-hour emergency preparedness exercise and demonstrate the radio amateur skill and readiness to provide self-supporting communications to the state, the country, and across the world without further infrastructure being required. Now, therefore, I, Cindy Johnson, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Alpena, do hereby proclaim the week of June 23rd, 2025 as Amateur Radio Week in the city of Alpena. So, and where's your, what's your field day at this year? Is it at the
It'll be a Michigan.
Michigan?
Yeah. Hope it's nice and stop.
I like your hat.
Thank you.
So this is a real camera, so give me a minute.
Okay.
Oh, it does. I was going to Zoom. Hold on, I think I can figure this out. No.
Do you need help?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting closer. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Okay, and I'm gonna do one with my camera.
Say it radio man.
Don't give us
What's
a.
that?
Thank you.
We'll be down at Michigan, the 28th and 29th. 28th, probably the best for me.
And four, good buddy.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Were any of you involved in Mars?
Make sure I didn't mess it up.
No. We got a couple members. Well, I was in Germany in 75 to 78, and that's how we called home, was through the Mars radio system, through the hams, to the bases and such. So I appreciate you an awful lot.
Yeah. Yes.
I talked to good service.
Yeah, I'm not sure of everybody in this area, but I talked to someone who was part of the Mars program nightly, every other night, to pass traffic and things like that. So the program is still alive and well.
Is it? Yep. Fantastic.
Why are you called fans?
Amateur radio ham is slang name for it, so. I'm not sure where it came from. Nobody is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're down to 11, report of officers, boards, and committees. A is an updated fund balance council policy statement number 55. Rachel Smolinski, city manager.
Good evening, everyone. So per request from Mayor Johnson, I have updated the fund balance policy to reflect a minimum unrestricted fund balance of 15% of expenditures to a max of 25% of expenditures. I have included a marked up version at the, it's after the clean version. And it's CPS number 55 with the change. And I just put in another comma there on the last page because I like commas. What they, yes.
They do.
And staff does support this recommendation. And then I have a recommended motion.
If somebody wants to make a motion, then we can discuss it. Anyone wants to discuss?
I move we update the fund balance policy governmental funds CPS number 55 as presented
Second.
from 10% to 15% of expenditures, minimum to a maximum of 20 to 25% of expenditures.
Is that good for you, Anna? Okay.
And I will still second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Danny to, on this recommendation, support by Mayor Pro Tem to move to update the fund balance policy governmental funds CPS number 55 as presented. He left out some words, so from a balance of 10 to 15 of expenditures and a maximum of 20% to 25% of expenditures. Okay. Yeah. Discussion. No?
None here.
I don't have anything to say of note.
Then do you have?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you positive?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Anna?
Mayor Johnson? Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walchuk?
Aye.
Councilmember Carrier?
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingshead? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So committee reports. Thank you, Rachel. I'm going to start with Kevin.
Oh, yes, we had another hunt meeting and it went really well. It was a continuation of our first one we had several months ago. It discussed staffing issues they are having. Again, it seemed like Alpena was very impressed by us. Alpena, I think we had our own personnel to put in. It seemed like we were ready for it. And let's see, I think everyone was there from across the state, so it was very good to kind of hear everyone's opinion on everything, how the actual hunt program is doing, kind of where it came from to where it is now, and kind of what they have done and the success they've had. They did put out a report that is very interesting to read. It's online if anyone wants to read it. It has the data points, and they've done fantastic stuff for us.
Is Hunt going to come this year?
Yeah, and I was going to add, if I may, July 21st, the new.
Hunt committee will be here to present, yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. That it?
Thank you.
Sandy, do you have anything? And I don't have anything new. Okay. That was easy. We have no communications or petitions, no unfinished business, so we're down to new business. Alpena County Information Technology Agreement, and Steve Schultz, our IT coordinator, is here.
All right, since 2009, County of Alpena IT Department has provided IT management services to the city of Alpena. The current 5-year agreement expires on June 30th of this year, and staff from both the city and the county have met to rewrite and propose a new 5-year agreement. The previous agreement had been amended several times and contained outdated terminology and information. The attached agreement has been reviewed by the city attorney and is provided for your review. Much of it is standard language and reflects the services that the county currently provides, which includes items that they now handle that were over and above the original agreement. There is also language supporting future development of the systems of both parties based on planning discussions and mutual agreement. The monthly rate for the first year of 25-26 is $10,000 per month. This represents a 13.8% increase over the current contract of $8,787 a month. However, after the existing contract was signed, the county IT department received salary adjustments to make them more comparable with industry and municipal standards. And over the last 2 to 3 years, the availability of the county staff to solve issues has increased and help tickets are closed at a much faster pace. Further, the proposed yearly contract total of $120,000 would not cover the salary and benefits package for an IT director, let alone a director and technician if the city were to have its own department. The yearly escalator of 2.2% is proposed in the agreement, and staff feels that is also fair. City staff finds the agreement to be acceptable, considering the services offered, the availability of county staff to handle issues, and especially their professional expertise and knowledge. We also feel that the ability to share in the cost of resources is very cost efficient for both parties. There is a recommended motion there, but we did find a couple of typos in the last version that we had that you were presented with here that we've since fixed. There were just a couple of apostrophes, but the big issue was that the old insurance language was left in the contract, and that actually we share the insurance with them now equally, while they actually negotiate the price and negotiate what is needed under that insurance, and then the city just pays half the bill. And so that was changed in the agreement.
Where did they put that?
They put it under the shared costs.
Okay,
area.
good.
So they
Thank
removed
you.
out of one section, put it in the other section. So when you do the motion, probably should say with the noted changes, you know.
So, and shared costs, independent, what? Let me get
So
there.
I can point it out in 2.111. It says maintain cyber insurance with the city of Alpena named as additional insured. And I knew from working with the county on this that we actually split the insurance. And I said, well, according to this, it looks like we're not responsible for it. So then he's suggesting putting it in, or they have put it in under section 3, independent and shared purchases, excuse me. I'm assuming it's 3.4.
It's 3.4, and it reads, the city and county will share equally in the cost of cyber insurance with the county staff negotiating the requirements with the insurance provider.
Can I have that document so we get this right? Because we have to add that. So we have to.
Well, but I read it, so I think as long as you say with noted changes when you do the motion.
And so we're going to eliminate 2.111, right?
Yes.
3.1.
Yes.
Okay. Just
Computer admin services.
We put the increase? Yeah. Yep.
okay. Does everyone understand that? Yes. And is this is another 5-year agreement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If someone wants to make the motion, we.
I'll move to execute the IT services agreement with noted changes between the city of Alpena and the county of Alpena at the prices indicated, and authorize Manager Smolinski, Clerk Soik, and IT Coordinator Schultz to sign on behalf of the city.
Second.
So Bridget made the motion, Mayor Pro Tem seconded to execute the IT service agreement between the city of Alpena and the county of Alpena with the changes and at the price, with changes that Steve talked about at the price indicated, and authorize Manager Smolinski, Clerk Soik, and IT Coordinator Schultz to sign on behalf of the city. So any discussion? Anna?
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walchuk,
Aye.
Councilmember Carrier, Councilmember Hollinshead, and Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, Steve, you're here with chemical purchasing for utility plant.
Right. All right. On several occasions over the past 20 years, United Water, Suez, and now Veolia staff have offered to perform the task of bidding and purchasing the chemicals used in both the wastewater and water treatment processes. Due to their corporate buying power, they feel that they may be able to get lower pricing for the chemicals. Currently, Engineering Administrative Assistant Cassie Stone assembles the documents and collects the quotes and then writes PO requests to purchase the chemicals. Once processed, she emails the POs to each plant manager to order the chemicals as needed. I authorize the monthly invoices as they come in and send them through the clerk's office to be processed for payment. While this process doesn't take much time, there is a lot of paperwork to shuffle. Veolia has provided the attached proposal to perform the bidding and procurement process in-house. As part of their monthly invoice, they will bill the city for the chemicals ordered and apply the standard contract 15% overhead for their time to handle the paperwork. In discussions with Veolia staff, we feel this 15% will be offset by the lower pricing due to their increased buying power. The proposal is separate from the master services agreement and can be terminated at any time with a 60-day notice. I'm requesting to try this for 1 year and review the pricing to see if it makes sense for the city to continue. We cannot review any pricing ahead of time because the chemical quotes cannot be obtained by Veolia until the proposal is signed by both parties.
Okay, I have some questions.
Okay.
Okay, so, have we ever done this with, any of the people who have run the Suez, United Water?
No, it's been suggested many times that they've talked about their buying power for chemicals. Most of our chemicals come from large conglomerate places, probably the same places they're going to get prices from, but we buy, minuscule amounts compared to what Veolia purchases on a, nationwide basis. So that's why we think that this could work pretty well.
Okay, so in the past, though, people must not have thought it was beneficial.
They didn't want to bring the memo.
Don't want to bring the memo.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and I know, I understand where you're coming from.
But this is based on assumptions, though. They
Mhm.
can't give us pricing, so I have no comparison. Like,
Right.
what did they pay last year compared to what we paid last year?
Right.
Is there a savings? I know that they can't give us prices for the future because they don't know what those prices are yet. But this is based on a lot of assumptions that we may save money, but we may not save it.
And I guess that's why I'm just asking for a year, I think, just to see. This is something we won't know unless we do try it. And I
And
think that's what the hesitation was in the past.
we do it for a shorter period of time to try it? Like,
Well, once they lock in the prices, they're good for a year is the issue. Usually we lock in prices, they would lock in prices for a year purchasing.
And if I may,
mhm.
any estimates that they've given
I
you?
really don't. I tried to ask him for him and he said they really can't. He can't even make the request within his department unless he has a signed agreement.
Wow.
We're willing to participate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do this for a lot of companies. So this is just their standard.
So do they have an overstock of these chemicals and then that way they would just be available for our use?
No, because the chemicals go right to the plants themselves and are stored at the plants as needed. And you usually don't get more than you need for a time period because there's some of the stuff you don't want to store for.
They're just buying more at a time, essentially.
Yeah, right. They're asking, hey, can we buy an additional amount of this for Alpena? We already buy it for these other plants and we'll get that better price is what we're thinking.
With the 13% overhead for their time, what even price are we looking at?
And maybe that, and I'm sorry, Kevin, but
Well, we won't know until
what did we spend on chemicals last year?
we spent $220,000 on chemicals. So the quick math on that is about $33,000 extra dollars. And it's kind of a big number, but that's what I'm saying is I'm hoping we at least break even, if not, do better than that.
They're proposing this to us. Is there any repercussions if they don't save us anything? Or is it just, we just don't renew?
I mean, we don't have, I mean, like I said, this thing is written for 60-day notice. If the first quarter prices come in and they're nowhere near what we thought they were going to be, or they're way over, we can end the thing.
Oh,
60
within
days.
6 days.
Days,
Yeah.
Okay, and will you,
But what you got to realize too is that it does fluctuate. It could fluctuate throughout the year. Like, I've never received any increases on chemicals throughout the year prior to this, but like the last 3 years or so, I get them in the middle of the year. Well, here's I know what we bid, but here's what the chemicals cost now because of shipping and yada yada and whatever. And you don't really have a choice. You need the chemicals, and you have a contract with them, so you take the increase. And so those
I'm sorry, but
those could change.
really aren't locked in for a year then?
They're not, but I think with their buying power, they're going to get those locked in. I don't, because we buy so little, we're kind of like, we get pushed around, I think, a little bit.
Are they allowed to tell you if something is locked in? Like within this first 60 days, are they able to say?
I'm sure they would be able to tell me, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, there seems to be not a lot of information passing
Mhm.
between two. But
Well, and I don't know that, like I said, we'll know the prices eventually.
So you'll know
once we get them, from them.
day after this is signed, or is it gonna take a?
Well, they go through a process. They'll probably go through a couple week process to, they actually wanted the whole month of June to do this, and we weren't able to get the memo.
Steve, are we looking to match, come in lower than the previous year?
Oh, I'm hoping lower for sure, yeah.
We're hoping, yeah.
16% lower.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Contract. Is that the last thing?
For chemicals? Yeah, we're like 7 contractors, yeah. No,
And is this a service they provide and have been asking us?
it is.
So they do this for other,
Other municipalities, yep.
okay.
And is there any data from them on whether or not they've saved money?
I mean, that's why he brings it up, because he feels that he could save us some money too. I think he sees the savings in other communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is like the first 60 days enough time to know about the savings?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be 60 days. You would think maybe like the first month after we get the first little bit, but then we would have to cancel it after 60 days.
It's like a subscription.
How often and how quickly are chemicals purchased? So if, is it consistently the 220,000 is spread out evenly throughout the year, or do we do like a large amount now?
Depends on, like at the water plant, depends on usage. So it goes up and down with the seasons and stuff. Wastewater the same, because if you're using more water, you're using more wastewater, at that plant. So they fluctuate throughout the year for the season.
We're going to peak season right now.
Yeah.
Which means that this would be the time that they would be able to save us the most money.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah. If you look at it percentage wise, yeah.
So this first 30 days, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this first 30 days, since we're right middle of June, this would be a pretty good determiner if the rest of the year will follow in that suit.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the only thing that I think we have to look at is that when they get these prices from these folks, they might be telling them the only way you're going to get this price is if we deliver your chemicals for an entire year. That's the only thing. And I don't control that. That's going to be whatever Veolia can.
No, you're fine. I'm just wondering how that works, if they can lock in prices for a year and then we terminate it within 60 days.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That year.
Yeah, I don't know. We would have to go out and get our own prices then.
Okay,
Again.
but would we be out that sum? Or have like?
Well, whatever chemicals that they would order, that they would place, not for the entire year. No, we would just be out, whatever they would make, order that first time through.
I know we have storage for chemicals. How often do we get chemicals delivered to the plant?
It depends. It's a couple months. Some of the stuff comes through every month. Some is only quarterly. It kind of varies based on usage and based on what they are.
If we do terminate the contract, let's say after a month, we still have 60 days with them. Would they still be doing the ordering?
They would still be doing the ordering and such, yeah. Yeah.
Unless we have a contract with they have a contract with somebody, we have to buy them for the year.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know that.
Get out of it.
That's why, I guess that's why my idea would be to try it for a year and see where we're at.
But we're not locked into their deal if we can get out of it within 60 days.
But Steve said they may have contracts with people for the year, like we're going to take whatever chemical.
Yeah.
Alpena, but it's locked in at this price for the year, you have to take it. So there might be people that we're locked in with for the year.
Well, but I guess I'm just making the point that that's a contract between the chemical supplier and Veolia, not us. If we can get out of it in not that we're going to, but if we can get out of it in 60 days, according to this. Doesn't even say.
And it says,
Oh, 60 days. Yeah, so we should be able to get out of it in 60 days, is what I'm saying. Because, and I don't mean to say that it's not our problem, but it's literally not our contract with them. I think in good faith, you would want to do it.
Yeah.
If we get out, then we still have to procure our own.
Yes.
In the bid process.
Right.
So then we're out what we've paid them. And then
No,
we're
we would
having-
still have the chemicals for that, but it would likely take us the 60 days to procure our own.
How do you feel about it?
I'd like to try it, I guess. I'd like to go for it for 1 year and see.
1 full year?
Yeah.
Is there any way you could like report back with numbers after?
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm standing here telling you, if it's not at least break even or less, then we're not doing it again. I mean, I'll tell you that right out. It's not gonna happen.
Do like a 6 month or like a 4 months trial?
Well, I think you'd want to say a year. I think
Way
you
they
want to
do
do a full year.
lock in,
Yeah.
if they have the ability to do that, but are you okay walking away?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was too. I suggested that to him. I said, I know our city attorney well enough. He's gonna want an out clause in there. And he said, well, it's probably gonna take you 60 days or so to get to a point if you want to walk away. And he said, yeah, if it doesn't work for you, then why do it? So, yeah.
I have this probably silly question. So if okay, so the price lock thing, you keep on saying price lock, but then we're talking about dropping prices. Are we saying that once we get a certain price, it won't go over that?
That's what I would think. I mean, right now, like I'm saying, we kind of get thrown to the curb and say, hey, you got to pay these extra prices. You got to, I pay an increase every quarter, it seems
Right.
like, for chemicals because we don't buy that much.
Yeah, so is it
Have
a
a-
smaller increase than what Veolia is asking for? Because there was the 15%.
So the 15% is what they would take. So like last year was 220,000. That's right. We paid in chemicals. So they would have taken 15% of that. So we're hoping they can get us better like Costco deals.
Oh.
by buying
15% less.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're maybe thinking that they will have this thing locked in. Maybe some chemicals they need to lock in. So we're just throwing words out there and seeing things. Yeah.
And if I
We don't know how they work.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, sorry.
So, Steve and I had a lot of conversation about this, and I had the same sorts of questions, but I said, I'm willing to try it for a year. And I think we're going to have a pretty good idea in just a few months, maybe half a year, but, we may also, maybe some of those chemicals come back higher, maybe some of them come back lower. So I don't think we're going to know until we get through a full year. I was hoping that we could do something like 6 months, but it sounds like a year would be more feasible. Yeah, and if it's not saving us money, absolutely get out of it. And I can report back to you after the first quarter.
Yeah.
I think Veolia has our best interests in mind. I don't think they're out to take us to the bleachers.
Oh, for sure.
Because they obviously have and want.
What's interesting is the new staff at Veolia. I've talked more with the people above Mike Collins so much more than I've ever spoken with any of the other companies. They're very involved in each of their projects, and they have, um, Mike Collins is in charge of this, they call them projects, the project in Alpena, but he's got several people over him that are, regional people and statewide people. And then this guy takes care of these 3 states. And then, there's a pretty good tier of a lot of tiers of people that I've talked to that like, wow, why are you talking to me? You're, upper level in this company, but they do care about where we're headed, and they make offers that, Mike can't necessarily make, that are, in that echelon of the company. And it's been good. They've offered to do things for us that I've never had offered before, take care of the GIS, keep the GIS updated. Something we never thought, anybody would do for us without having to, pay outside of a contract.
And that's where this is coming from because of the new staff.
Yeah,
kind of
correct.
Light.
Yeah, and and I guess I shouldn't say new staff. It's the staff of Veolia who purchased, Suez.
Oh, okay.
Veolia just came into the picture 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. So and I knew Veolia in Texas at a partners brother who worked for them, so they are very large.
Yeah.
I did not know that they were nationwide down in Texas, Dallas area.
Okay, and I know this might sound like negative or like preemptive, but we're having the problem with the water and sewer and that being like a whole corporation problem. So could that in any way go negatively for us? Does that make any sense, making the correlation between that?
I don't think so. I think this is something, completely separate that.
So like if we
Yeah.
had trouble, we wouldn't be like spun through a bunch of like different
Mm-mm.
corporate
No,
people.
no, and that's why I wanted to make sure that this agreement is completely separate from the main agreement, and it's got the 60-day out in it,
Right?
And based on your interactions, your expertise, sounds like this could be good for us.
I think it could be. I think they have the buying power.
Okay.
And like I said, honestly, I think we get kicked around by the bigger companies.
Mhm.
We don't buy that much.
Right.
We're way north,
Yeah.
and Veolia is buying it. I have a feeling that Veolia may be trucking some of this themselves to get rid of freight costs. They might order it to a central location
Okay,
and they might get it out to their plants. I don't know that, but
right.
I wonder that because that's where we take the biggest hit is some of the freight costs.
Is that something you could find out before you signed anything?
Well, they need to get stuff going for July 1. So they're trying to get that all moving.
When?
Yeah.
I would say you're closest to it. They're around to stay. Hopefully, they're nationwide, so they have a name they need to upkeep. If you're okay backing out, after a certain time, and this is the time when we'll see hopefully the most savings from them because it's the most highest usage peak time. I'm ready to go.
I'm good with this too.
Okay, and I want to know within the first quarter where we're at.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's fair.
To get some numbers.
So by October, we would report back.
Unless the numbers are a whole lot higher, I want to hear
Yeah.
rather than later.
Like to make a motion to execute the chemical purchasing proposal from Veolia and authorize Mayor Johnson to sign it.
Second.
A motion made by Courier, second by Annie to execute the chemical purchasing proposal from Veolia, authorize Mayor Johnson to sign. Any discussion? I think we've done that.
I was just gonna say not beyond what I've already.
I was just going to say, I've really appreciated the questions.
Yeah.
Very insightful, and the answers are appreciated, or, the lack.
Appreciate council understanding and kind of running with it. I realize it's a little bit of running into the dark, but I have this good feeling that it's going to work out. So. Yeah.
Go ahead, Anna.
Mayor Pro Tem Walchuk,
Aye.
Councilmember Courier, Councilmember Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mitchell.
Thank you. And now we're to the bucket truck purchase request. And Steve, you're still with us, so try to be kind.
This, I think, will be a little easier. Recently, Alpena Power Company reached out to the city about purchasing a bucket truck they are retiring out of their fleet. The city previously acquired one of the 2 bucket trucks that we utilize from Alpena Power Company, and again are being offered first right to purchase this truck for $30,000. Fleet manager Doug Rosneski briefly reviewed the vehicle and believes it to be a sound vehicle, which will work for our purposes for many years. The previous vehicle we acquired from Alpena Power was recently replaced after being in service for Public Works for over 10 years. The new vehicle is a 2014 Freightliner bucket truck which will replace our 1984 bucket truck. Our existing truck has been on our radar to replace over the next couple years, as it is showing signs it will not be functioning for much longer. The new truck will also eliminate the costly, approximately $10,000 mandatory recabling, which is due within the next few years on the older truck. Cost of a new bucket truck would be approximately $250,000. Fleet manager Rosnowski checked for comparable vehicles in age and manufacture. These comparable trucks are attached, and the lowest price truck being approximately $55,000 for a vehicle that is not in as good a condition as the one from Alpena Power. Additionally, as the truck is coming from a known entity, we are confident it has been well cared for and maintained. The truck is still actively being used by the power company, and for this reason, mechanical staff was unable to thoroughly inspect the vehicle. Alpena Power has offered this to staff once it has been removed from operation on or after today. Even though we did not anticipate any issues, our fleet manager would recommend reserving the purchase pending this inspection. From the first review of this truck, the only modifications would be a safety cage over the cab of the truck to prevent damages during tree cutting operations. This work can be completed in-house and is anticipated to cost about $1,000. Even though this purchase was not budgeted, staff feels this is a great opportunity to replace the 1984 truck with this newer vehicle offered at a reduced rate from both a new and used truck. Adequate funds are available in our equipment fund balance to make this purchase, and therefore we are requesting council to approve the following 2 options. So the first one approves the budget amendment, the second one approves the purchase of the vehicle.
I have a question, if that's all right. Say this goes through and we do make this purchase, it sounds like they're going to be actually saving us $10,000.
Well, at least, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the one work that won't be needed to be done. I guess my question is, what happens to our old bucket truck?
The last one, Doug thought we were going to get about $1,000 for it, and we sold it on an equipment site, and we got $5,000 for it. So who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. But that's what we have, an equipment site that we put things on, and there's all kinds of guys that shop that, and they just buy the stuff up like it's candy, I think. It's crazy what people will buy for parts, for other things, I mean, like.
Sure, yeah.
That bucket truck has the best frame ever built, and so that's what they buy it for.
Right, yeah, parts and stuff.
Yep.
So big toys, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, the motion is to move, and then we're not gonna purchase until we are ensured that it's properly inspected, correct?
Yeah, what I would look at is if you guys just go through both motions, our fleet manager won't buy it if,
Oh, of course.
just won't.
It's not,
And
right.
so I would, I could come back next week or next meeting and say, hey, just so you know, we made this inspection, it didn't work, so we're not buying it.
Okay, perfect.
So I would, just as long as you vote to move the money and to purchase the truck,
Yeah.
be pending inspection.
In reality, we're saving more than 10 because that's just the repairs, and then more expensive trucks are.
Right. And the last time we had to make an emergency bucket truck replacement, I don't know if you remember, we were driving the one down to get the cables redone on it and the engine blew. So
Ooh.
if we can avoid taking a vehicle downstate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does anybody else have anything?
No, so let's make a first motion, and then if there's discussion after that, we'll do it.
I'll move to approve the attached budget amendment to transfer funds from the equipment fund balance to capital vehicles in the amount of $31,000 for purchase of a bucket truck and aftermarket safety equipment materials.
Second.
So Richard made the motion, Mayor Pro Tem second, to approve the attached budget amendment to transfer funds from the equipment fund balance to capital vehicles in the amount of $31,000 for the purchase of a bucket truck and aftermarket safety equipment materials. Any discussion? No? Anna?
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingshead. Aye. Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, so we have another motion.
May I?
Mhm.
All right. I move that because the first motion was approved, that the second recommended motion should be to approve the purchase of a 2014 Freightliner bucket truck from Alpena Power Company of Alpena, Michigan, in the amount of $30,000 pending a satisfactory inspection of that vehicle.
I'll second. So Mayor Pro Tem made the motion. Mayor Johnson second. Motion to approve the purchase of a 2014 Freightliner bucket truck from Alpena Power Company of Alpena, Michigan, in the amount of $30,000, pending a satisfactory inspection of the vehicle. Any discussion? I do have a question. Let's just say that Doug looks at this vehicle and it's still a great vehicle, but maybe it needs $10,000 put into it. Would then you come back to us and ask that, or
It's going to be, if we could offer Alpena Power less than 30 and then get the work done for a total of 30, I don't think I'd have to come back. But if we had to do a lot of work to it and they wouldn't take any less for it, then we'd have a different story.
just so I know? Okay. Any other discussion? No? Okay, Anna?
Councilmember Hollingshead.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak,
Aye.
and Councilmember Courier.
Okay. So now we're to D and Marina Shop lease renewal. Kevin, oh, Kevin, there you are.
He was hiding.
Get us.
Fisher.
Good evening, everybody. So in November of 2021, the city of Alpena entered into 2 agreements with All Marine and Storage. These agreements include a travel lift operations agreement and a building lease agreement for the marina shop area at the Alpena Marina. The current lease has been renewed 3 times and is currently set to expire on June 30, 2025. The original lease agreement allows for the renewal of this lease for 5 additional 1-year periods if both parties agree upon unit prices. This new agreement has been changed to reflect a 5-year term and an increase in rent to $475 a month and an increase to $200 a month for shared utilities for a total of $675 per month. It also represents the combining of the building lease and the travel lift operations agreement into one agreement only. In the travel lift operations section, pricing for services rendered has also been updated to reflect increases across the board. All modifications to both agreements have been discussed and agreed upon by both parties. After any questions or anything that I can happily answer, the recommended motion is for City Council to approve the lease agreement with All Marine and Storage of Alpena per the attached lease and above stated modifications in rental amount through June 30, 2030.
These were originally separate,
Yes.
and then
One of them started in December. The other one started in, I think, June.
so there's no increase. They're just combining them to one.
Yeah. And all of the prices for everything across the board essentially has increased for this year. The way the rates at the marina work is we kind of set them for about 3 years, give or take. We see where everything goes, how it's working, how everything is functioning. And if the need is there, raise rates again in 3 to 5.
And those rates are approved in the budget
the fee
Okay.
schedule, so you, yeah.
Perfect. I'll entertain a motion and then we can discuss.
So there's technically 2 years left of the.
Technically, neither of them like working year to year. They wanted a little bit more job security, so they wanted longer agreements. I mean, it makes sense. I get it.
Move city council approve the lease agreement with All Marine and Storage of Alpena per the attached lease and the above stated modifications and rental amounts through June 30th of 2030.
Second.
So Danny made the motion and Mayor Pro Tem supported it for the city council to approve the lease agreement with All Marine and Storage of Alpena per the attached lease and the above stated modifications and rental amount through June 30th, 2030. Any discussion?
I wonder what happens if there's not enough rent or,
Rent does get increased by a specific amount every year.
okay, so there's some sort of formula for that?
Yes.
Okay.
I contractually increase rent every year per the state of Michigan rate of inflation posted every October, rate A.
So we're covered there then, that's,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
And then utilities is being figured out.
Okay, okay, yeah.
So basically annually, you look at all of the costs and then you reallocate those the next year.
Thank you.
Is job security, is there any other interest in that location by any other entity or something, or
No,
it's been doing it for 3 cycles already?
we've been doing it for 3 years, and I guess one of the big deciding factors is both of them have families. Reed, I think, is raising a child now and so on and so forth, and they just didn't like the uncertainty of a 1-year agreement with either travel lift operations or the building lease. And if I'm being honest, trying to track down and keep on top of 2 separate agreements that don't start or begin at any point in time where the city's fiscal year starts and ends, just mind boggling.
Just for cleaning it up.
This is just, hopefully it will be easier.
Out of curiosity, who was there before them?
Nobody.
It was
It was-
the contractor, Thunder
Yeah.
Bay Marine.
I think
I like this.
they both worked for Thunder Bay Marine. And then after whoever ran Thunder Bay Marine retired, they started their own company to do essentially the same thing. And if I'm being honest, if those two weren't there, I don't know where the Alpena Marina would be.
Steve, do you recall how long Arlie and Reed have been working there? It's been years. I mean, they've been here since I was here, but you
I
know.
don't remember them not working for Thunder Bay Marine.
Arlie's been here for at least 25 or 30 years.
Wow.
Heck, he used to live in the apartment upstairs. So.
Thank you for your work on this. It makes
Yes.
sense to combine them.
Indeed.
Any more discussion? Anna?
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walchuk,
Aye.
Councilmember Courier, Councilmember Halsted.
And now we're down to Sunrise Side Co-op Market Lease, but before we begin that, Kevin has a conflict of interest, so he would like to recuse himself from discussion and voting on this contract. So somebody needs to make a motion that we need to vote on.
Oh, I'll move to recluse Kevin from the discussion of the Sunrise Co-op agreement.
Support. So Bridget made the motion to allow Kevin to recuse himself from the Sunrise Side Co-op agreement. Mayor supported that. Any
Voting. And voting.
And voting, discussion and voting. Any discussion? No. Anna?
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Aye.
Councilmember Collison.
Aye.
And Mayor Johnson.
Aye. Okay, Kevin, you're up again.
Thank you. The Sunrise Side Co-op Market has been at the Alpena Marina storefront since September of 2024. The September agreement was intentionally meant to expire June 30, 2025, in order for a new agreement to be made that would align with the city's fiscal year. This new agreement has been modified to show a 5-year agreement term, an increase in rent from $500 to $600 per month, and utilities from $175 to $220 per month. Market use location and more strict guidelines have also been added. The Sunrise Side CSA Co-op Market at the Marina Shop Building is supporting the marina as a viable destination for the local community, visitors, and transient boaters alike. The Sunrise Side Co-op is also planning fundraising and applying for grants for various improvements throughout the Alpena Marina and in the Marina Shop Building itself. I have to be honest, they are kind of new. But they are doing a lot of really good things down there, and they are getting a lot of the boaters more involved in being down there and enjoying themselves more. Like they legit started doing karaoke's on Wednesdays and Saturdays now. And like it's actually like pretty, like people are actually really enjoying just like hanging out down there. It's been really cool. And they're like this close, I think, to getting a retail food license, which will be
Oh, great.
so good for that building.
Yeah. Do they have a liquor license? I don't know. Is it okay to ask the question?
I mean, I don't personally mind.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
just I wondered if they had a liquor license.
As far as I'm aware, they do not. But it is also a city park, so I believe there are certain rules for that. So you can consume alcohol. They just can't currently sell
I was
it.
just gonna say, it's part of the social.
District.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
And please get to the recommended motion.
I have an addition I want to make to this agreement. So under section 2, I want to add M, and I want to have that Sunrise Side Co-op Market will or shall coordinate with all city events, Alpena approved city events, in whatever fashion. If it's like getting through the gate, not having to pay, I want them to solve those problems, not come to us to solve those problems. So like brown trout, their vendors have to get in and out. They have to figure that out with brown trout.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to add that.
Okay.
Okay,
So they'd be in charge of coordinating any issues.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Because I can see at brown trout that because they're not going to want to pay the gate fee every time that they have to go
Yeah.
in. They have to figure that out with brown trout.
Yeah.
Whoever is down there, so they can get in and out and do what they need to do. So I would like to add that.
Brown trout's free to get into.
I was just gonna say, I didn't think there was a gate.
Yeah.
Is the fees are at the tent?
So yeah, I believe the fees are at the tent for the actual tournaments. As far as like an entrance fee to Brown Trout Festival itself, there is nothing. Oh, and the music tents and things. I think there are cover charges for those to pay the bands.
They still need to get their vehicles in and out, and that's gated off. So, you know, they have to figure that out with those people. Whatever that.
So if I make this motion Then I would say with the additional notes from Mayor Johnson.
Mhm.
Is that all right? Everybody? Okay, I move that the city council approve the lease agreement with notations by Mayor Johnson with the Sunrise Side Co-op Market for the use of the designated Marina Shop building per the attached lease and the above stated modifications through June 30, 2030.
I'll support. So Mayor Pro Tem made the motion, Mayor supported the motion for City Council to approve the lease agreement with the mayor's modifications with Sunrise Side Co-op Market for the use of the designated marine shop building per the attached lease and the above stated modifications through June 30th, 2030. Any discussion? Anna?
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak,
Aye.
Councilmember Linseman. Aye. Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Great.
So we're to the end of our agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Good. I'll second.